Every spring, millions of people look toward Vatican City for the absolute pinnacle of the Christian calendar. It is a moment of deep religious gravity and global observance. Simultaneously, the holiday manifests as a chaotic, secular festival of competitive egg hunting and massive inflatable rabbits on the White House lawn. We are left with a strange overlap. It is difficult to see how the execution of a 1st-century rabbi became so closely linked to a multi-billion-dollar chocolate industry. This duality exists because modern Easter is a cumulative record of 4,000 years of human history. Every new era added a layer of meaning without deleting what came before. In the ancient world, winter presented a literal threat of starvation. The return of the sun and spring's first growth were requirements for survival. Early Mesopotamian civilizations translated this biological struggle into the first layer of the holiday. These cuneiform tablets record the myths of Tammuz and Ishtar, establishing the earliest documented stories of a god dying and rising with the seasons. As tribes moved into northern Europe, they worshipped Eostre, the goddess of the dawn. Her festivals centered on symbols of fertility, specifically eggs and hares, and provided the holiday with its English name. This biological need for the light to return is the foundation of the holiday. Every theological and political layer that followed was built on this prehistoric desire for life to conquer the dark. In the Middle East, the Jewish people shifted the meaning of the spring festival. They moved the focus from the survival of crops to the narrative of human liberation. They established Passover, or Pesach. This covenant was defined by the blood of a sacrificed lamb and the eating of unleavened bread to mark their escape from slavery. Passover became an annual anchor for Jewish identity. It tied the arrival of spring to the specific concept of freedom from political oppression. This shift turned a predictable cycle of nature into a historical narrative of salvation. By the 1st century, Jerusalem was under Roman occupation. When Jewish pilgrims arrived to celebrate their past liberation from Egypt, the city was a political powder keg. At the Last Supper, Jesus of Nazareth used the Passover ritual to introduce a new theology. He identified his body and blood as the ultimate sacrifice for a new kind of covenant. After his public execution, the claim that Jesus had risen from the dead realized the ancient archetype of the resurrected God in a specific historical context. The resurrection story took the prehistoric cycle of spring, the earth coming back to life, and applied it to the human soul, claiming a victory over death itself. The early church was fractured. Different regions used different calendars to mark the resurrection, creating a deep divide within the growing religion. Emperor Constantine prioritized political and religious unity. In 325 AD, he convened the Council of Nicaea to resolve these disputes and consolidate his authority. The council established a specific calculation. To keep it tied to the resurrection, Easter would fall on the first Sunday after the first full moon after the spring equinox. This formula tethered the Christian celebration to the Jewish lunar and prehistoric solar calendars simultaneously. During the Dark Ages, the Church began adapting local traditions rather than trying to erase them. Pagan spring bonfires and painted eggs were integrated into Christian worship to make the new faith more familiar to Northern Europeans. Easter expanded across the globe because of this deliberate cultural synthesis. The 19th century Industrial Revolution changed the nature of the holiday. It began to shift from a spiritual and agricultural observance into a mass-produced commodity. New methods for pressing cocoa allowed retailers to manufacture hollow chocolate eggs. This made it easy to market the German Osterhase, or Easter Bunny, to a global audience. Today, retailers use these mass-produced symbols to drive sales during the long consumer spending gap between Christmas and the summer months. Whether someone is attending a sunrise service or buying chocolate eggs, they are participating in a 4,000-year-old chain of human history. Beneath the commercial layers, the holiday remains a record of a persistent human belief that even after the longest winter, life returns.